market imperfections and some issues which are there in the theory of irrelevance given by Miller and Modigliani. This is our module number 214 of the course of Financial Management. We have discussed in detail that what is the argument of M&M and how it is applied, but then we talked about several assumptions which are there as a part of the theory of M&M. Now we are considering some of them in detail. The first one is market imperfections and other issues related to that. Perfect market is again a theoretical market, a market which actually does not exist because of so many reasons. Because this perfect market assumes that there is no product differentiation, meaning that if we are talking about stocks, there are stocks which are identical, and we have said that stocks and the companies or firms cannot be identical. Similarly, it is said that there is a very large number of buyers and sellers. Now, if we see the practical markets, we see that the number of buyers and sellers at times is large, but at times it is not that. For some stocks, you would see that there may not be any buyer or any seller. Likewise, it is said that there are no entry and exit barriers. Anyone who wants to get into the market, buy or sell, should be able to do that. But when we talk about actual markets, these are regulated markets. And in the regulated markets, there are some barriers. Then we say that there is perfect information which is available to everyone. यानी ये assume किया जाता है कि हर इन्वेस्टर जो इस मार्केट के अंदर आके ट्रेड करेगा उसके पास तमाम मालूमात होंगी और वो तमाम मालूमात बिल्कुल ठीक होंगी और उन ठीक मालूमात की बुनियाद पर वो रैशनली अपने प्रॉफिट को मैक्सिमाइज करने के लिए, रैशनैलिटी का सिंपल मतलब ये है कि अपने बेनिफिट को मैक्सिमाइज करने के लिए जो डिसीजन लेना पड़े उस डिसीजन को लेकर फैसला करेगा। और इसके अंदर ये अस्यूम किया जाता है कि मार्केट्स के अंदर कोई मैन्युपुलेटिव फैक्टर्स नहीं है। मैन्युपुलेटिव फैक्टर्स यानी कोई कार्टेल नहीं है, कोई मोनोपोली नहीं है। मोनोपोली इकोनॉमिक्स का एक कॉन्सेप्ट है जिसके अंदर हम ये कहते हैं कि एक बायर या एक सेलर इतना बड़ा हो जाता है कि वो पूरी मार्केट को इन्फ्लुएंस कर सकता है और अपनी मर्जी से प्राइसेस को फ्लक्चुएट कर सकता है। सो दिस इज अनदर assumption of perfect market. Now, having said this, that markets cannot be perfect, then what happens if there are imperfections? We say that all real markets are imperfect, so all these possibilities or assumptions are not valid in the practical market. There is practical manipulation. We find that bigger investors like institutional investors and bigger brokerage houses and mutual funds, they are in a position to somewhat affect the prices in the market. Similarly, if this is something that happens, so because arbitrage is only possible if these forces are not there, if the markets are perfect. So we can say that with this, there will be no possibility of arbitrage, and the theory of M&M will not hold good in that situation. So we may say that M&M theory is applicable with several assumptions, one of which very important is perfect market, and if perfect market does not exist, the theory does not hold good. Now let's see some of the issues in addition to the imperfections in the Miller and Modigliani's argument. The first one is the bankruptcy cost. हम ये कहते हैं कि जैसे जैसे फाइनेंशियल लेवरेज बढ़ता चला जाता है वैसे वैसे फर्म का रिस्क लेवल बढ़ता चला जाता है. An increase in the risk level also increases the chances of bankruptcy. And if a company gets bankrupted, then everything is lost. So there is a cost associated to bankruptcy which also should be considered in a theory, but M&M does not consider that. Similarly, there is another theory which is called the agency theory. The agency theory states that investors do not directly control a business or a firm or a company. Investors indirectly, through the managers, through the directors of the company, have an influence on the company and their decision making. So because of this agency issue, there is an associated cost of that. Now, this theory does not also consider or talks about the cost of agency, which again creates a possibility that the M&M argument will not be valid if there will be agency cost. इसी तरीके से एक और इंटरेस्टिंग आर्ग्यूमेंट है जो ये कहता है कि जब फाइनेंशियल लेवरेज बढ़ना शुरू होता है उससे रिस्क बढ़ना शुरू हो जाता है और रिस्क के बढ़ने की वजह से जो फर्म की मैनेजमेंट है, जो बिजनेस की मैनेजमेंट है, उसके अंदर एक नेचुरली एक एफिशिएंसी लेवल का इंक्रीज होता है बिकॉज दे स्टार्ट वर्किंग ऑन देयर टोज, दे try to put in extra effort so that the high risk profile can be controlled and kept within the limits. So whenever there will be higher efficiencies, there will be some impact of that. And another issue is that there are institutional restrictions. Institutional restrictions mean selling the shares, buying the shares. Institutions have their own policies, what to sell, how much to sell, when to buy, when not to buy, which companies should be considered for investment or not. But this factor is not also addressed by M&M. So we can say that with these issues and this cost of buying or selling that includes the brokerage charges, जब हम शेयर खरीदते हैं और बेचते हैं तो हमें एक कमीशन पे करना होता है which again has different rates but also influences the decision of buying and selling and changes the cost of buying and selling. We do say that M&M argument does not account for this transactional cost. So let's conclude this discussion by saying that in an imperfect market, capital structure may affect the value of firm. और वो जो basic argument था हमारा कि capital structure से market value में कोई फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता, वो सिर्फ उस वक्त तक hold करता है जब तक कि हमारी markets perfect हों और हमने ये बहुत सारे issues और reasons की वजह से देखा कि markets perfect नहीं होती. So as a conclusion, we can say that M&M theory is only applicable in perfect markets and not in imperfect markets.